Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I think it's going to be a little humid today with the rain last night, so everybody's going to have to hang in there. I thought we had a good day yesterday. Pushing through the weather. Got lucky with a little bit of cloud cover, so that was good as far as that's concerned. A little bit of a different challenge today, but we're excited for that. One little just quick roster note here. Damon Harrison will be taking off NFI today, and he'll be at practice. So we'll start, acclimating him back into practice and getting him ready to go. Just like we do with all the guys that, have, been out there or coming off situations where we feel we're trying to ease them back in. We do understand that there's a little bit of time lapse between, the guys that are in the middle of everything and guys that are coming back. So we just want to be smart all together with that. Same thing with, I'll say just kind of the roster notes here for you guys, just to update you. Marvin is, he's back in Detroit working out, and, we're just obviously trying to be smart with him. He's been pushing really hard, and we got a lot of good work out of him last week. Next week being the third preseason game, we do try to look at the big picture as far as the 4 weeks of training camp are concerned of games, and really try to utilize as much of, that third week as we can. So that'll be a big part of it, as we take a look at next week. Danny Amendola, really kind of the same situation right now. We're trying to just do our due diligence there to make sure he's ready to go as we push forward. I think he's done a lot of really good work for us so far in training camp, and honestly, we got a great opportunity here to take a look at some of the other guys against good competition in practice settings, as opposed to trying to guess or hope that that'll happen during preseason games. So it just kind of it works out as a good opportunity for us to control it. It's about controlling those reps and controlling those opportunities, to be able to go get those guys a good look, from that standpoint, with kind of the depth that we have at wide receiver, trying to take a look at that. I thought, just another really great story. Quandre Diggs, great job yesterday going back to his high school. It was a backpack giveaway for Children of Need. I think that's an unbelievable thing. We talked about it. He and I talked about it probably about a couple weeks ago. We decided we were coming down, and thought he had a great opportunity to do something to help the community, and we were here, and we were able to kind of work out the schedule and get him and a bunch of guys down there to give back, which is the most important thing that we do. So that's a great story of a local guy from Texas coming home to do something really positive. So really proud of him for that. And again, we got a lot of guys from Texas out here competing right now. So I think there's been a lot of really good stories out there as far as that's concerned. So the Texans have been unbelievable. The hospitality's been amazing. Obviously the practice facilities, what they've given us as far as everything inside the stadium to get ready to go and train. It's really been a kind of a smooth transition for us. So couldn't be happier as far as that's concerned. And like I said, it's good for us to, as a team, get away and kind of be together in a hotel and go compete every single day. So hoping for another great day today of competition. We'll see how it goes, but that's what we're excited about for right now.
One more on the injury front. Like Daniel said, he'd be back in practice this week, last week.
Sure.
Probably spoke out of turn. I'm just wondering how close is he and how much time does he need, just given a new defensive scheme?
Yeah, I think from the scheme standpoint, we'll work through that as we go. For him, coming to us when he did, and for us working with the doctors that he had, up in Green Bay, it is truly a day by day thing, and we're just trying to take it that way. I think it's a little bit different when you're with somebody at the start of a process like that, and you kind of have a daily or weekly catalog as you go through there. This is for us diving in the middle of something and making sure that we're smart with it, and that's really what we're trying to do, is just be smart with the whole situation as we go forward.
Is that with his foot, or is it something else?
No, that's coming off of what he was dealing with last year.
Yep. One more injury thing. We saw T.J. Atkinson come out right yesterday with an eye. He looked minor, but
yeah,
to check it.
Yeah, no, he went back. He was fine. Those things, they're not fun. So, but he's a tough kid. He was okay.
Yeah, coaches, you kind of reload for game two. What do you look at your rotation? What do you want to try to accomplish as you advance, the preseason at this point?
Yeah, great question. To be honest with you, we have an outline for that stuff that we put in play before we get going, but a lot of it will be fluid depending on the practices. I think if we come out of a couple good days or 3 good days of, how we feel competition-wise, that it went, and these are really important to us, then we can always reevaluate before we get to the game and decide, how much reps we need to see or who we need to see from that aspect of it as we go through the evaluation. There's a certain aspect of it where you're trying to get certain groups to work together and kind of build towards the regular season, but right now it's just getting great evaluation here today.
Just one thing in that regard, do you get enough out of here in these 2 days like you did last week, and really the game is such a big deal as it might be a different opponent?
Yeah, you do. Games are always a big deal to me, though. I mean, we got to go compete. But you really do. We get a lot of really good work here, and things that that we can, like I said, control and take a look at from a standpoint of putting players in certain situations and see how they respond, and that's really valuable to us. So we do get a lot of great work out of it.
Just sort of following up on the Amendola, Tom Kennedy was up getting some reps with Stafford yesterday. What did you see from him in camp?
Yeah, there's a couple guys out there. Tommy Lee was out there too. I don't know if you guys saw him yesterday either, but I think some of those guys have just really capitalized on their opportunities. Kennedy's great. He's, obviously learning a lot. He's kind of in the mix of understanding what we do here. He's a young player. He's got a lot to learn, but thought he did a good job of trying to make the most of his opportunities. It's consistency will be a big thing for us to see, especially as a young player, to see if we can just kind of keep at that pace as we push forward, if that makes any sense.
These practices are obviously beneficial to everybody, but for rookies, does it help them acclimate quicker when they're out here with a different team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things for rookies and young players that we really put a big emphasis on right now, and last week I would say we tried to do it until you go through it for the first time. Maybe it takes a little while for them to understand that the carryover, okay, so from like one day to the next and learning the players. It is such about, the players in the NFL and understanding who you're going against and how that affects scheme that's related to. I would say that's much different than college. It's much different than maybe what they've been through in the past. So these days where you can now go back at night and carry over to the next day or carry over to the game and understand that there's going to be players, similarities, and or schemes from coaching trees that'll carry over week to week, and being able to connect the dots on that is something that's really important in the NFL as opposed to everything being new every week, if that makes any sense. That's okay.
Two things.
Go ahead.
Is his knee still an issue?
Yeah. Again, we're just taking some time off to just kind of make sure we're being smart with it in the situation.
And then Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about him before, but what did you see in him coming out of Maryland that you really liked?
Yeah.
How is he?
Yeah. Well, you see on tape, you see some of the physical attributes that you really like that I think that have shown up on film, shown up on the field so far. So that's always a positive to see, because again, there's a difference between the level of play and competition and between college and the NFL, and you always try to project that at our level, and I think that's part of it that has shown up on the field that we're pretty, that we're pretty pleased with.
Some level of roster churn this time of year.
Yep.
When you bring in young guys like Summers or Stockton, what do they have to do, given their inexperience, to kind of catch your eye in this catch-up phase for them? Yeah,
it is. It's really, that's a difficult situation, but that's really part of what the NFL is. It doesn't matter even if it's in the middle of the season. We'll bring players in the middle of the season and try to judge and value how well they can get caught up to speed and go out and compete. And right now, we just try to get them to focus on the fundamentals and so that they have a foundation to start with. We understand there's going to be some scheme things that obviously they're behind on going all the way back to the spring. That's kind of been the learning process for us. So if fundamentally we think they can kind of dive in and really understand the technique that we're using in a lot of those situations and understand the philosophy of what we're doing, we'll build the scheme as we go. But that's where we got to start, the foundation of it all, which would be the fundamentals.
You have guys competing at different levels, but what about a kid like Anthony Pittman, the Wayne State kid?
Yeah.
What has he done, and is he sort of progressing through the process for you?
Yeah. It's
sort of a run there.
Yeah, I think he's really what's great about him is I thought he really improved from the spring until the time we got back from training camp. I think he really stayed focused through those that little break that we had, studied and learned. And I would say where maybe some players, or especially young players, maybe take a couple steps back, between the break and then have to get back into it for training camp. I feel like he actually accelerated when he came back. So it's been good. It's a long way off, but I think from that standpoint, with him in particular, to give him credit from that break, I thought he did a great job.
The signing of Flowers obviously got a lot of headlines, but you guys also re-signed Romeo Aguilar.
Yeah.
Just curious the camp he's had and how it is to have two guys that have production or a history of production at that edge position on your roster.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. I think everybody tends to forget about the guys on your team that you sign back and how important those players are. And Romeo would be one of those guys. I think he's worked extremely hard to make himself better. He just continually improves as we go. He's competitive. He's tough. And look, we're trying to get as many good players as possible on this roster to help us go win. So I love the competition. That's what it's all about in the end.
Last question. Maybe piggybacking off Justin's selection a little bit. You know, Josh Johnson's not a young guy, but he did come in.
Yeah,
you know,
same thing.
And
Yep.
looks like he's
well,
assimilated very well. What have you seen from him? What does he have to show you going forward to have your choice?
and I'd say that's a great example of a guy that's, he's a veteran player, but who's been able to go into an organization, acclimate very quickly, and get up to speed. And I think he's done an unbelievable job of that for us, and I think that's been huge. And then now he can kind of settle in and go out and show us the skill set part of it and the command that goes along with the quarterback. But his approach, his mentality, that's been awesome. You know, just being able to come in and do that.
That's a difficult thing, especially at that.
Sure.
What's different about him that's made it so?
Well, I mean, we're still evaluating all of it, but I would say his familiarity with his position coach was probably the first step of that as we looked at it, to bringing him in, Sean knowing him on that level and being able to kind of be like, yeah, he's going to be able to study this, get caught up to speed really quick, and then we'll be able to see if he can compete, and go from there.